creates a sense of community, allows people to expand their minds and share ideas, is life-sustaining and should be preserved. And the other member of the team is Tony Wilson. Tony Simpson, who's no relation to Tony, who is an award-winning historian and writer who's published 15 books, many articles. He's worked as a radio producer and industrial advocate, scriptwriter, arts administrator and a policy analyst. Among his better-known works are The Sugar Bag Years, an oral history of the Great Depression, Te Riri Whakaha, a history of Maori land loss, and A Distant Feast, an introduction of European cuisine into New Zealand in the 19th century. We talk quite a lot about food. Do you, Tony? I do. The most recent book, Ambiguity and Innocence, is about the New Zealand division at Trieste in May 1945. I must have a talk to you about that, because I had an uncle who was sheltered by a family in Trieste. He escaped from a prisoner of war camp. And I actually went and saw them and stayed with them a few nights way back. So it's interesting to see that you've done that book. Tony was, until recently, president of the Society of Authors. He's received a number of awards and fellowships and was named Reviewer of the Year for 2005. And he was made a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit that year as well. And also, I believe you're standing for local DHB season this year. Wonderful. In fact, I would say 2005, in Vintner's terms, was a good year for you. Would you give them a big hand? Now we get to the other side of things, sort of the Mordor section, is it? Three wonderful people here debating against the idea. Pinky Agnew is the team leader here. Despite tonight's debate position, Pinky is a lifelong library user. After a career as a trade unionist and journalist, Pinky gave it all up in her 30s for a life as a singing telegram girl. Did that mean every time you appeared you got ripped along the dotted line? She's long since abandoned the ukulele and the sparkly tights and has carved out a successful career as a writer, social commentator, MC, speaker, and wedding, civil union, and funeral celebrant. That must be a wonderful field to be in at the moment.
I try not to do them all at the same time.
She's written plays and poems, toured in shows such as Grumpy Old Women and Party Girls. You might hear her on News Talks NB or Radio New Zealand National with Tarada Redar and Catherine Ryan. And I hear her lots on that particular program because we get to replay it in the mornings on Saturdays. In 2004, she became a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit for her services to entertainment, the MNZM. So we've got two on stage here. Heather Drysdale is a speech-language therapist by trade. Although Heather will be speaking third, but let me tell you about Heather. A speech-language therapist by trade and trained back in the dark ages last century. She's currently working as a coordinator for the Child Development Service at Hutt Valley DHB. Takes a lively interest in the world around her, which will probably help her a lot in this debate tonight. And Eva Radich, who's sitting in the middle. Eva's passion for debating and impromptu speaking dates back to her days at high school in Hawera, where she was a member of the school debating team. I take no prisoners environment, she says. Eva lost touch with her debating self for too long, but rediscovered it some years ago, thanks to Heather, the two met tonight, and to the IMPS speaking organisation. Now, I looked up IMPS speaking organisation on the internet, and all I could find was Internet Miniature Pincher Service, Internet Musicians Placement Service, Imperial Military Personal Stories, Star Wars. What's IMPS? What is IMPS?
I don't know, I'm the youngster, Wellington.
Oh, I see. Good enough. As simple as that. That's good. Eva has been a bookworm all her life. As a primary school child, was a twice-a-week visitor to her local public library, her favourite place. Eva works as a broadcaster for Radio New Zealand Concert, of course, doing upbeat. And there are endless opportunities, it seems, to debate to her heart's content there. In fact, they're very noisy up on that floor, actually, which is quite nice coming to work between midnight and 6 because you don't have to put up with any of that. Could you give them all a big hand, please? Okay, now the technicalities, how it all works. Speakers speak for 6 minutes. We have Chris on the bell here. They'll give you all a ding at 5 minutes, and then a big barrage or whatever at 6. And that's it, your time will be up. The chair introduces all the speakers. We'll just go from one to the other, I think, once someone's finished. I'll just mention, nod to somebody, or just get up and come up and do it, because remember when you're on next, unless you get totally confused because of nerves. Ian will speak first, Pinky second, Pollyanne will come up and speak, and then Eva, and then Tony, and then Heather. And the team leader of the Nose team will sum up for 4 minutes, and then Ian will have a final summing up before we decide. We'll also take some questions and comments from the floor, if you have questions, of the coalition or of the debaters. So, I think it's time we got to cracking.